think maybe it relates or somewhere on the spectrum of optimism and pessimism, but it's nihilism. When I look at maybe the artwork, the music, and so on coming out of younger generations, not to be judgmental, but I'm noticing at least in the mainstream versions of this, you're not seeing a lot of depth of meaning. And I think that's why people often keep coming back or rediscovering the music of the 60s, for instance. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to a lot of rock and roll from the 60s, but it keeps recapturing the hearts of people because it was born out of, like what you've described, it was born out of adversity, war, civil rights challenges, and so on. So the music is just infused with meaning and spirituality. So I mean, when I'm hearing songs just about nothing at all, and the art and what's consumed is lacking depth of meaning, it concerns me as well. Like I'm a little bit worried that as religion starts to deteriorate among younger generations, I don't see that necessarily to be the problem, but I think there were elements of religion, like the search for meaning, that's important. And I think when you come back to optimism, there's something about meaning that comes out of it. I don't know if you ever read the book Man's Search for Meaning.
Of course, by Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
Great book.
Right. So
Yeah.
So it connects to meaning and purpose, which allowed him to survive 50 years after that adversity. Sort of like how you've come out of a very difficult period of your life with a lot of optimism, and it looks, it looks like a miracle on the outside, but it's something that could be taught, that could be trained. But do you see nihilism fitting into this picture at all for your generation or younger people?
Totally. And I developed this framework about I call it the optimism scale. And 0, it's basically extreme optimism. 0, it's basically extreme pessimism. And number 10, so it's basically a scale that goes from 0 to 10. 0, extreme pessimism, and 10, extreme optimism.
Okay.
Both ends achieve nothing. And the number 5 is where we find complacency, nihilism. We find laziness. And when we're lazy, we're complacent. When we are nihilistic, we do nothing, and nothing happens, and nothing changes. And nihilism is playing an important role. And I've noticed that a lot of people are kind of experiencing an existential crisis very early, and I think a lot earlier than people in the past. And a lot of my friends, like 15 and or older and younger, are asking themselves, like, what's the meaning of life, and stuff like that. Because I'm sure at 15 you didn't ask yourself those type of questions, like, what was the meaning of life? I mean, that's a hard question. I mean, what's the meaning of life, right? I mean, there's not such an easy answer to answer that question. And, we can go over and talk a lot more about what's the meaning of life and what I think about it. But something that you mentioned was important was that I wanted to highlight was not only we are missing that meaning of life and how religion provided that for many people, as religion is getting away from the spectrum of society, and of course, like, correlation does not imply causation, but as something that I've seen is that as people become less religious, people become less happy and less motivated and less connected to the greater being or truth or universe. And do we know if religion's true? I don't know. I mean, that's also a very hard question. However, it's the same thing with optimism. I rather be an optimist and be wrong than pessimistic and be right. And with religion, it's not necessarily about being naive and just ignoring, like, I'm just going to be religious and be happy or whatever. it's not like that. However, sometimes you need to have the right belief that work for you instead of necessarily the true beliefs. And again, it's not about lying to yourself. It's about recognizing the right belief and the right frameworks to think and see the world.